Hi and hello, watch fans, and welcome to another edition of the Real Time Show with me, your friendly neighborhood Jula Aloma Joseph. I do not have the friendly watchmaker Rob Nuts in the studio because he got stuck in a train somewhere in Germany because somebody decided to walk on the train tracks. But I don't mind it at all. I have two dear friends in the studio with me. Niels Eggerding, the CEO of Frederique, en Guido Benedini, de founder and CEO of Watch Angels. Heren, goedemorgen, welkom.
Good morning, Alon. Good morning, Guido.
Good morning, Niels. Good morning, Alon.
Great to have you on this call together. Old school style, correct? We go way back.
The Dutch connection, isn't it?
The Dutch connection. We're not going to do it in Dutch, dear listeners, so don't worry at all. We're going to do it in English. And we are here together because these gentlemen have been cooking and have been cooking in the kitchen. You gentlemen gave us the honor for a little scoop. There is an amazing collab dropping, which is the Watch Angels / Frederique World Timer. Gentlemen, why in this world would you guys work together, and why are you driving us crazy to buy another World Timer?
First of all, because we are dealing with collectors, so there's always a good reason to buy another watch, especially if it has been cooked by two innovative cooks working in the same kitchen, which is, of course, never easy. But as the philosophies of our two companies really join themselves, it has been a win-win cooking session. And we believe that the result is very interesting. And we especially wanted to do something for collectors and involving collectors. So I think it's a worthwhile new addition to any serious collector collection.
Guido just mentioned his reasons. And on my side, on Frederique Constant's side, we go way back with collaborations. So we have been established a brand back in 2004 with the manufacturer by collaborating. We created a new manufacturer caliber in that time, driven by, let's say, the whole industry and the movement supply. So you were not flexible by design because you had to buy third-party movements. On the same time, you were restricted with growth. So those two elements forced us to really create and innovate our own movement. And that has been done with the Dutch watchmaking school, Alon, we know, but also horlogerie, the École Horlogerie Geneva. So those two really work together to come with a complete redesigned main manufacturer plate, main manufacturer base for the brand. At that time, it was hand winding. Now, going back to this year, 33 in-house movements. Since then, we have been embodied collaborations. Now, why are we doing collaborations in multiple ways? Is mainly for me to step outside the comfort zone. We are a classical brand, classical driven. Of course, we have the High Life back in 2019 introduced. That really brings a bit more sport chic environment. But for me, it's very important to try things to see how the audience react. And that you can do with collaborations. We did the Peter Speak Marlin in that time. We have done with Waco, Revolution, and fantastic collaboration. Together, you and me, Alon, we did a very beautiful High Life World Timer collaboration. And that really brings added value to on the plate. Then on top of that, I always look at the collaborations if there's an audience that is new for us. It's very difficult to find a new audience, but it's very comprehensive for the brand to enlarge your audience. Now, Guido has like more than 100,000, let's say, collectors connected to Watch Angels. And that interests me because that audience is, I would say, an innovative, early adapting audience. And for the brand Frederique Constant, that's typically where I would like to go to see how and where the brand should go and learn from that. So there's a few elements for me that's important. Let's say stepping outside comfort zone by your DNA, tapping in the community. Then we have, of course, a very important one, a happy customer. So hopefully we can do something new, fresh, that really creates a happy customer. It brings a communication push for the brand. So it brings a different approach. And of course, sales. So for me, I'm always looking for this creative collaboration. So thank you, Guido, for partnering up with me.
Our community, it's about collecting. So it is actually getting out of the comfort zone. The way the products we propose are always special. They always have to have a story. There has to be something there for a reason for collecting. And I must say that our community has been asking for especially manufacture pieces. We've done in the last 5 years many tool watches, but the demand was really for also more elegant dress watches with complicated movements. And this is actually the direction our community is pushing us towards. So this piece is also one of the, let's say, stepping stones, which is leading us into a more auto-horlogerie segment.
Beautifully said, gentlemen. And I'm not happy with the both of you because now I bought another watch. Thank you for the podium, Niels. Yes, thank you for the honor of making a collab. We did indeed sold 100 high lifes rather quickly. Collectors we reached that never thought they needed Frederique Constant were blown away by the value for money that they got with this proprietary in-house world timer. So I was blown away with this cooking and this new recipe. And although Guido speaks Dutch, I am happy that his Italian influences brought this very elegant watch to this world that I don't need another watch. I don't want another watch, but unfortunately, I have another Frederique Constant world timer now in my collection soon. So let's talk semantics. Guido, quickly, what is it? And then we'll go back in time how this came about. This is a one-time project, a collaborative project between Watch Angels and Frederique Constant. How many dials are there? What makes the watch so special? What does it cost? And how can people obtain it?
The main demand from the community was a smaller diameter. Smaller diameters are very loved by watch enthusiasts. And therefore, the effort has been to create a new model for Frederique Constant, so a new case, which would be 40 millimeters, encasing the same, of course, FC 718 world timer caliber. So our effort has been to design a case which would be elegant, thin looking, and respecting all the codes, of course, of the FC brand. And I must say, in this collaboration, what has been special is, also the trust from both sides, in working together and shaping together a product which is on the one side completely Frederique Constant. I permit myself to say maybe even, completely also the future of Frederique Constant. And at the same time, being a piece which watch lovers can really appreciate and which has a formal, I would say, consistency and coherence in terms of design and a respect of the FC codes. To make a 40 millimeter piece, what we did is, of course, we had to make sure that the proportions would be perfect, that reading the world time would be perfect. And this has led us to, on the one side, eliminate the date. You will see this is very special. This gives a new look to the watch, opens up the dial and the legibility of the world time disc. And on the other hand, we have worked on a slightly more sporty, so sport elegant case. So it's a watch which perfectly complements the 42 millimeter, a world timer of Fred Constant, and so really opens up also to a new customer, I believe. So people who like a bit smaller diameters and maybe a slightly less classic approach in terms of design. And you'll see the result, I believe, is really stunning. In terms of price, we are at 4,495 Swiss francs, which is probably the highest value manufacturer world timer watch on the market. And the order window of the watch will open on the 13th of February for a month, exclusively on the watchangels.ch website. It's a limited edition, 718 pieces worldwide. And yeah, so as from 13th of February, the sales window will be open.
Thank you for that, Guido. Just to make sure, the prices on Watch Angels usually are inclusive of all taxes wherever they order from and shipping. Is that the case in the price that you just mentioned?
Yeah, that's correct.
There are no add-ons anymore. You take care of tax. So when you order outside of Switzerland, so into EU or UK or US or Asia, that's what they pay. So you don't charge more, although it's a very limited production run.
That's right, Alon.
How many dials, colors, variations?
Well, this special is one dial color only. It's a very beautiful blue dial.
So 718 pieces, window of a month. If they're gone, they're gone. As we say in Dutch, op is op.
Yes, and first come, first serve.
So going back to Niels. So Niels, how much of a teamwork and how much of a free reign did you give the team at Watch Angels to design this watch?
Well, you know me, correct? So I'm quite easy in terms of carte blanche design. Although we briefed together that it should be from a distance. Let's say, first appearance, it should be visible that it's Frederique Constant. That was important for me, but I wanted to also push it really outside DNA. The regular, let's say, classic manufacturer world timer, what is still the most iconic movement we have in the collection, is based on a very classical case design, 42 millimeters. So curved lines, where you can see really it's DNA driven for the brand. Where I challenged with Guido much more on, let's say, straight lines. A bit more sport chic design within the classical case direction. Indeed, we never did a world timer without the date disc displayed on the dial. So we had some comments previously. I could see we always analyzing YouTube videos, and then I'm reading comments. My team is then bringing also a report up. And with the world timer, I think one of the top 5 comments is that the date disc, the petit disc on 6 o'clock, is overlapping the city disc. So that comment was in the top 5. So I said to Guido, let's remove it and let's make it super clean. Then, of course, in the time we are living today, the 42 millimeter, although it's a classical curved case and it's doing extremely well, I suggested to really go to a 40 millimeter case. And that's what Guido managed extremely well. So the case, look to look, also very small, I would say. So a smaller wrist, it really fits well. And the whole package, the strap, I would never do on a classical watch for Frederique Constant. He did differently. And then the dial design itself, you will see it's new, it's fresh. So it's new, it's fresh, it's something outside DNA. So I think it's going to be super interesting for customers that know our world timer, but really want something new. Or a new customer that doesn't know our world timer, he would see something fresh. So very happy with the outcome on my side.
From my side, Niels, so first of all, thanks for giving us the liberty. It's very rare that a brand gives very few desired points and then leaves the liberty. That has allowed us to listen to our community very well. And yes, this fresh approach you desired has been realized by having soft lines, not as soft as the classic world timer, and then sharp bevels. And I think for the first time for the world timer, like a brushed and polished finishing approach. And I think that made the case. And again, thank you for your giving us the liberty to work and to interpret your codes. And I think we listened very well to your desires. And also from my side, I think the result is very, very interesting.
And that's where it's become interesting for us to see how this drop will fall, how the reactions will be, and if there's going to be a future development moving forward into this kind of case designs into the line of Frederique Constant. So these kind of things are, for me, super important. So now, thank you, Guido.
You gave me a perfect segue, Niels. So they will sell out the 718 pieces. I'm rather sure about that. What would you consider a successful KPI or a benchmark that this joint venture / collaboration was successful? And moving forward, would you either pursue more watches FC labeled on the Watch Angels project? And going the other direction, how would you integrate this back into the brand Frederique Constant and the collection? I assume you use this as a sandbox, as they use this term in the tech startup scene. You try stuff in a sandbox. Please elaborate a bit more about that.
Well, a successful KPI for me is when you have an audience that is fresh and new for the brand. It's difficult to measure, but we can see clearly if it's a new audience for us or not with the data we have already. But that would be very interesting and successful KPI if we have like a significant new audience coming into the brand that likes the product and the brand. The sales is, of course, we all know that it's important, but it's not as important for me, this collab, than probably this for Guido. Because for him, it's really also a sales drive. He needs to serve his audience. For me, it's brand awareness. It's tapping into a new audience who's getting to know to the brand. But on the same time, it's for me very important to see how this drop lands. If people appreciate it, then to give you an answer on your other question is indeed, I will move into the collection to investigate, hey, should we not have a bit more, let's say, straight lines into certain case designs moving forward? Because we tried with the High Life. It was very successful. The trend today is going a bit more classical. We see that, small, classical. So we are spot on with the existing collection. But I'm always looking, of course, to challenge that. So, and this is the way to challenge it. And that, for me, is super interesting to see that. Now, that's it for me. If you have, would you like to know anything else? Because I'm referring back to your questions, but I had two questions answered.
Going back to Guido, if other brands now will approach you, will you offer them this sandbox opportunity as well? Because Watch Angels and our dear listeners, both gentlemen are alumni on the Real Time Show. Both of them have been on the show already. So I urge you and invite you to go back and listen to those episodes. But maybe a quick intermezzo. Guido, tell us what Watch Angels is literally about, because maybe those that haven't heard the interview before or are not aware what Watch Angels is, I think it's very good to explain to them now briefly what you guys do.
I think you said it. We are indeed a sandbox, but both for brands and also for the collectors, because when we work with independent brands or independent designers, we are their tool to experiment, to propose new things to the collector community, and to get feedback, which is also, as Niels said, particularly important for the brands. So actually, we serve our community best when we innovate, when we bring unexpected concepts, and this then circles back to the brands. So we offer also a different way probably to communicate. We go very much into the background of the product. We involve our community within the creation process. So, and that's again where we, towards our customers, but also the brand, discover things. It's better, I would say, to discover things, before the watch is launched than 6 months after, when it's when it's in stock at the retailers. So yeah, uh, we are a sandbox, both for brands and for collectors, and with that we propose very special watches on the market, because if it's not special, our community doesn't like it.
I owe you a lot because I am a watch angel myself. I purchased my first Cedric Bellon on Watch Angels platform, and I discovered him because of you. He was a very well hidden gem in the watch industry. So thank you, Guido, for delving that diamond to the surface. And because of that, we already did 2 projects together. I've also purchased as a consumer the Waltham projects, the A17 watch on your platform. So to go back to my original question, if now other brands approach you, will you offer them the same sandbox you offered Niels and Frederique Constant?
It depends. It really depends on the community and the concept of the watch. Of course, there has to be a demand or a latent demand. We always, as we need to do something special, it has to be special. So it has to have all the characteristics to be appreciated by the community. So yeah, sure, that's our business. We have to believe in a project, and based on let's say a discussion and a due diligence we have with our community, we decide whether to do projects or not. I think what was very interesting with Frederique Constant was the caliber, the demand by Niels of the product. This was very appreciated by the community. But I think there was another element which is very, very important. Is there is a lot of collaborations on the market. These collaborations are normally doing a special dial, etc. In this case, what has been very much appreciated by our community is that it's both a co-creation and a co-manufacturing project. So where both parties offer a bit what they do best. So in this case, of course, Frederique Constant has added the vision of the product, the main vision of the product, and of course the movement, the manufacturer movement, which they produce in house. And from our side, it has been the creation, the conception, based also on the wishes of the community. And from our side, there is a manufacturing effort which concerns the habillage, so the case, the dial, and the strap.
Gentlemen, this is now a beautiful segue for me to go back in time, because Niels and I go way back, but Niels and Guido go way back. It begs a collab to have Alpina do a collab on the Watch Angels platform, because you guys go way back because of Alpina, don't you?
Yeah, we go way back. There's no Alpina in the pipeline. So that's one. That's an interesting one. Although we would like to first see really how things will go with Frederique Constant. I'm super open to discuss also an Alpina collab. But let's first see how the FC will land and the reactions of that. Then we go back like 12, 13 years now, Guido, correct?
I think so, about, yeah.
So actually it's interesting because we have been somehow also overlapping without knowing, working for, in that time, the Schwarz Group, where Guido was already working and did significant work for certain brands there. Then later, without knowing, we came across to each other with Frederique Constant Group. In that time, still Peter and Oletta, and Peter and Oletta were looking for an, let's say, creative, innovative CEO for the brand, Alpina. And I was running the global business, global sales for the group. And Guido in that time came in with Alpina. And it was, I would say, we connected right away from the beginning. What I really have seen with Guido in that time is that the inspiration and the creativity behind the brand Alpina has been very, very special. He was way ahead of his time in that time, I remember. And we discuss still often about this. That's a nice bridge for an Alpina opportunity. So we should see what kind of innovative product we could bring with Watch Angels after the success of Frederique Constant.
Dear listeners, Guido said it several times. It's crowd inspired, crowd designed, crowd manufactured. That's what Watch Angels is. If you want either an Alpina or any other Frederique Constant model, or whatever you would like seen made in the industry, spam Guido. Hunt him down, call him, WhatsApp him, DM him, and I'll give you a little hint. Guido, close your ears. If you really want his attention, he's still single. So ladies, if you're listening, you can date the king of Swiss watchmaking because he's an eligible bachelor. All kidding aside, I know you guys are extremely busy. I want to switch up gears. We are still in Q1 of 25. Please, both of you, share a bit of what you envision and see for this year.
This year we have a pipeline of 4 new projects, very, very interesting projects. You know, our market is a very specialized and collector-based market, so we are kind of a little bit special. We are less subject to the, let's say, the mass market trends. So we look forward to a really good year. Also, after finishing last year very well. Again, I think that the innovative nature of the projects of this year will make it, a very good year. And of course, the start with Frederique Constant is a bit of a symbol for what will happen this year.
So on my side, listen, I think we all speak about the watch industry. We went through a peak and it calms down a bit. I think what is interesting now is we are coming to a normality just before, and I don't want to speak about COVID, but it's a bit before COVID. It's a normality we are landing on. On the brand Frederique Constant, I can clearly see that where it used to be super high-end, where we saw traction in the past 2 years, so tourbillons, perpetual calendar, tourbillon, perpetual calendars, it now comes back a bit more to volume. What I'm very happy for, because we are still a bit more in volume driven, gain market share. We are quite unique in the pricing we have. So I'm really looking forward to upcoming year to see how the trends will go and how we will behave within this trend. And then we have a few very nice collaborations. Guido is one, and far away in next year, we have a few nice ones too. Among you and me, Alon also still. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm very, very happy to see this challenging going on because that's what we like, correct?
We do very much so. And taking a more of a bird's eye view macro perspective, do you think the cooling down of the markets is a good thing? And if so, why? And how will this play out?
If it's good or not, I think it's normal. Because to reach a peak, you have to go sometimes back deep again. I don't think we go deep. It's just that we have been going through an extreme peak. So I think it's good for brands also to catch up on certain things, go back to a normality. For me, things were becoming very crazy. Attention went to very crazy. Of course, we are in luxury, but it's my brand. If I speak about my brand, it's also still serving not craziness. So I think it's good to be a bit more normal. Craziness is over. And I think it's good for people, for the human being around each other. I think that part is good. I'm still looking at that. We are selling watches, so that we also need to put it in perspective. There are still many challenges going on in the world where I prefer it's calming down very quickly. What is more important for me?
Yeah, I agree with Niels. I think that it's a normal, in our industry, you have peaks and bottoms. I think this period allows us to focus again on what is important, focus on innovation, efficiency, invest in the, investing in the right things. and therefore, I don't think it's a negative period at all. From my side, I'm convinced that probably there is a couple of markets which will lead very much the growth for the future. I'm convinced America will come up very strongly. There is a new positive, mindset and feeling down there. There's India coming up very strong, Mexico. So I think, it's a period of reframing, but enough focus, which will bring the future growth, which of course is always good.
What brought us together in the studio today is the joining of forces of creativity and production. What is your vision on collabs? Have the market saturated? Have there been too many? Should there be less? And what do you think collabs should be about?
I think the reason that you have seen an acceleration of collabs is because the market really requested for. So I think people were looking for something unique, something innovative, something special. And the brands were doing this by applying collaborations. Now, today, I think the acceleration is there. So the customer is not willing to buy something just regular on a regular base as a collab. They are looking for still something very unique. And that part, I think we need to be very innovative. So, or you do something in a movement, or you do something very creative as a collaboration. And that for me comes now to the point where together with Guido, and Guido, you can explain this much better than me, but we are not like a regular collaboration. We are two manufacturers in Switzerland where you bring the force together and you co-design something very unique and co-manufacture it. And that level of collaborations, you don't see it that much in the watch industry. And I think that's another level for me, how I look at it. And on top of that, Guido has a significant audience and community where we can learn from. But I think that's the uniqueness a bit more of collaborations.
I think basically collaborations are actually another word in the market for, do something new and innovative, right? That's where this comes from. And I believe very strongly that there is a whole new market of watch enthusiasts, of people with a lot of knowledge about watches, and they want something special. And that's what collabs have offered. Collabs have been a way for brands also, to innovate and respond to this need. So I think that when you say collab, you're saying special pieces, beautiful pieces, something which has not been seen before. This was the demand. Of course, our industry, then it starts and it also leads to more opportunistic kind of collaborations where there is much less innovation than what the collaboration should offer. I think there's been an inflation of those kinds of collaborations. So I think that the demand for collaborations is there, will be there, as long as they are very, very innovative and they explore new angles in terms of product or way of working, like we did, with Niels, or a combination of both. So I think collaborations are good, and even better if then they flow within the regular, I would say, work of a brand, if they can start also a new direction,
We actually discussed this a lot. Rob and I, the whole team at the Real Time Show, obviously at Ace Jewelers. I've discussed it with you both, gentlemen, because both of you gave me opportunities to work hands-on with you. My ethos was always, you need to add value. It needs to add value first and foremost to the brand and stay within its brand's DNA, but you are obliged to stretch and see how far you can go and venture out and make a product that normally wouldn't go into the core range. And then maybe the most important, of course, is that add value for the consumer. So all the collabs we did at Ace are priced at a normal price point as a regular piece in the collection. That is out of respect for consumers. And you've, gentlemen, proven that as well now today with your collab that you're presenting here today, because obviously the production for such a small batch is way higher. So you're losing margin there. And that shows respect to the market and your buyers. So I love that. I do think that many were not adding value. It was a money grab. You, Niels, said rightfully the market demanded it, but a lot of people jumped on the bandwagon and hyped these collabs just for the sake of it. Us at the Real Time Show and Ace Jewelers slowed our roll, so we did less. We even killed some projects, and it's very important to listen to the market. So I want to use this as a segue also to you, gentlemen. You kept on repeating that you very much listen to the markets. So you have an amazing audience here on this show. We have a real-time show community. So you can ask a question and they will either post it in the community and we'll forward them to you, or the listeners can reach out to you directly. Is there something you guys want to hear directly from the listeners of this show?
Yeah, sure. I'm always interested about that. So first of all, I would be interested to how they perceive the wheel timer that we will do with Watch Angels, how they like the design, how they like, let's say, the landing of it. But on top of that, I would be super interested to see what would they like to see Frederique start bringing new and fresh. Where would they be interested in to purchase? That I would be super interested in. I'm always interested in that. So that's two questions from my side.
One question is the same. It's what they would like to see from Watch Angels, meaning what is for them unique, collectible, and maybe also how the collectible relates to types of watches and prices. And if special means movement, so movement complications, movement innovation, or if it is more a design or all over watch need.
I have one question for you, a final question for both of you. Please tell me what you think are the trends of colors for both 25 and 26.
On my side, I think it's much more earthly driven, element driven colors that I've seen that I also like because it fits perfectly with the classical design we have. So the trend started already in 24 with stone dials. Remember that you could see. It continues in 25, but it will continue in a soft tone. That's how I have been reading the books, let's say the palettes of colors in the fashion industry. Guido, did you see some trends going on there?
I believe that wearability will be more and more important, daily wearability. So I believe that pretty classic colors and combinations will be highly in demand, especially from the male target audience. So I think that very interesting finishes or patterns, but in classical colors and very wearable executions will be probably strong. I don't know if until 26, but in the next 12 to 24 months. So more finishing and interesting patterns and designs in more classical colors.
What do you see, Alon, in the color trends? I see clearly that the really crazy colors are really fading away a bit more.
I think you're on point, Niels, and both you, Guido. Pantone obviously released the 25 color, which was, I believe, Mocha Mousse something. So it's a toned down chocolate brownish, some more earth tones. I think that 25 is going to be a consolidation year. So we'll turn the dial down on the volume. So we saw a boom in stone dials. I think that calmed down. We saw a lot of flashy, almost neon colors, although Oris brought a bright pink Miss Piggy watch. So there goes my theory. I think that will gear it down. You always see that when the world is in turmoil or economically we're in a down cycle, in the watch industry, we'll go back to classic designs, more dress, more relaxed things. So I think that's a good thing as well. So therefore also your collab is spot on. It's honed into what the market wants. Smaller sizes, a lot of value for money, complications that add value. So not a complication for the sake of a complication. I mean, you basically killed utility on the caliber because you took away a small seconds, which is perceived as an add-on. You killed the date on the watch, which is definitely a value for money. But you've listened to the market, and I salute both of you gentlemen for doing that, because a lot of CEOs at watch brands, especially in Switzerland, are stuck in their ivory towers, or I sometimes call them ostriches that stick their heads in the sand and they believe the storm will blow by because they are right. So a lot of people can learn from you. And you gentlemen, first of all, admitting listening to the industry, because a lot of brands do listen but don't act. You guys listen, you admit that you listen, you act, and then you repeat the cycle by literally asking the market to respond to you. And that's what a lot of brands can learn from. So I want to leave it at that. I want to thank both you gentlemen for taking the time to sit down with me. I wish you the best of luck with this launch. And please do keep them coming. And Niels, please do urge Oliver, the managing director for Alpina, to do something with Guido, because I would be very curious to see what will come out of that cooking session.
No, that's a good point. Thank you for challenging me on this one. I like it. I will. Thank you, Alon, for that podcast. Great podcast again, and I'm happy to be on it.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you, Niels. Always very interesting and enriching to talk with you both.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode. You can find all our previous episodes, including the one with Niels and the one with Guido, which are two separate episodes, on our official website, www.therealtime.show. You can obviously find us on Instagram by our handle @therealtime.show. If you want to support the show, please subscribe, like, rate, and share it with your friends. If you have any questions, feedback, and or criticism, please do send us a message. You can also DM us if you want to join the TRTS community. You can find our newest and fourth host. She calls herself the humble rambler, Scarlett, on the gram via our handle @ScarlInTheShire, which is a very difficult and long one, so I'll spell it out. It's ScarlInTheShire. David, you can find at DAVAAUCHER. Rob is at ROBNUDDS, and me you can find by just clicking all the letters of my first and last name together. And if you prefer to send us an email, you can just add our first names to the URL @therealtime.show, the same as our IG handle. Stay sane and keep on ticking.